Put simply, these people who left Australia to become brides of the caliphate, who became brides of the people who committed some of the worst cruelties that we have ever seen on video. Remember what ISIS did to people in cages? You remember the violence that we've all tried to scrub from our eyes, but you can't if you ever saw it. So the idea that even though they're Australian citizens, the Australian government is more than happy for them to return to the country is a bit of an issue for a few people. James Patterson has been trying to get the information about exactly who knew what and when. This was what happened yesterday when they just played a straight bat and pretended nothing to see here.
When did the department first learn that the ISIS brides had in fact returned to Australia?
Senator, I would need to take that on notice to confirm.
Can you tell me whether or not it was before or after Carly Douglas from the Herald Sun broke the story on Friday afternoon last week?
Again, I'll take on notice to confirm what the department knew and when.
How about your own personal state of knowledge? Did you know prior to the publication of that article that they'd returned to Australia?
Senator, I think as I said earlier today, we obviously have regular discussions with our counterpart national security agencies. And so my preference would be to take that on notice to check exactly when.
Oh, wake me when it's over. Remember, some of these people who end up heading up the departments are paid more than the Prime Minister, in part because they can deadball like that. Well, guess what was confirmed by the public servants today? Of course the government knew, and they know that they're already back here and amongst the community.
And how many ISIS brides are currently in Australia?
In September this year, a group of 6 individuals returned to Australia without repatriation assistance. That comprised 2 women and 4 children.
So let's get to Each Way Albo. What has he previously said about the brides of which nobody knew, apart from a lot of people knew, wanted to come home?
I refer to reports in The Australian that government officials are helping to bring ISIS terrorist brides to Australia.
Those reports are not accurate.
Is your government making preparations to receive them?
I refer to my previous answer.
Now, the fine line here from the Prime Minister is going to be that we didn't go and pick them up. But that's not the questions they were asked, and that's not the denial. Essentially it was, are you preparing? Well, guess what? Yes, they were. In fact, apparently, they were processing for months the preparation of the ISIS brides coming home because, in part, they had to issue passports to the kids of the caliphate. Again, James Patterson in the Senate estimates today.
When did you first become aware of their intention to return to Australia?
It was in June this year, Senator.
June. Okay. When did you first brief the Minister about their intention to return to Australia?
At the time that I had that information, Senator.
June. What did the Prime Minister say? And pay attention to the question and pay attention to the dodge.
I refer to reports in The Australian that government officials are helping to bring ISIS terrorist brides to Australia.
Those reports are not accurate.
Is your government making preparations to receive them?
I refer to my previous answer.
Di Lee, who represents communities in Western Sydney that have many expats or refugees that have come from the victims of the caliphate, was the one who asked the sharpest question of the Prime Minister today. Pay attention.
Prime Minister, recent media reports state that your government had no involvement in bringing back the ISIS-affiliated group. My community in Fowler, home to large Assyrian, Chaldean and Mandaean and Hasidic communities who were all persecuted and subjected to genocide by the ISIS regime, is rightly terrified. Will your government give my community in Fowler an absolute guarantee that none of the returned ISIS-affiliated women and children will be settled in our community?
This will be good. How does the Prime Minister answer? Well, he didn't. He was asked the question directly, but then he got, Tony Burke, come on up here, me mate. Can you answer the question for me? Oh, but it's such an open and transparent government, isn't it? Tomorrow night we'll have some big news for you about whether or not a protest is going to take place on the 12th of October at the Opera House. This is supposedly in support of the Palestinian community and its reaction to the Israeli response to the events of October the 7th. I think it's particularly insensitive to be doing so at that venue. Why? Because it was the Opera House on October the 8th, which was supposedly there to be lit up with the Israeli flag as a way of sending message of solidarity to the Jewish community here. But that, of course, was taken over by people who clearly were, at that moment, cheering on the evil events. They weren't talking about the response to the Israeli response. They were out and about because of the events of October the 7th. Well, police have gone before a court to try to argue that the protest shouldn't take place, in part because of what had happened in the march across the bridge, where 90,000 people were there. And remember, things got pretty tight when it came to some crowds, and people had to turn around and go back, otherwise there'd be a sort of crowd crush. The concern from the police is that it has disaster written all over it, he told the court. Put simply, too many people in too small an area. We're not anti-protest. All the altruism in the world doesn't assist you when you have a physical situation where we believe numbers will be far too excessive to keep people safe. 90,000 people came across the bridge. If even 50,000 came towards the Opera House, you're going to be in a world of trouble.